Hello. I pray everyone is doing well that's viewing this. My 7.2 RQMP summary topic is the role of the preaching in the church that has suffered the infidelity of the senior pastor. My problem statement would be the problem I will examine is this study is how a pastor and a church can recover from the sexual infidelity of the pastor and the role of that preaching plays to restore both pastor and congregation. And the purpose for this is the purpose of the study is to understand what biblical restoration looks like for the congregation and pastor during and after a fall from grace. Some of you who pretty much all of you old enough to remember when we look at the PTL scandal, the Ted Haggard, the Jimmy Swaggart. When you look at those things that happened to those guys, and they were involved in sexual infidelity, those ministries never actually recovered from what had happened. 20 years ago, I was asked to be an interim pastor of a church where the pastor was involved in infidelity with a young lady at his church. And I was asked by the presiding bishop to be the interim pastor while the pastor and his wife went away to get counseling. And while they were working through that, and also I was to facilitate the spiritual health of the church. It really meant a lot to do that because of the fact that the church that I grew up in, that was also a Pentecostal church, our pastor went to jail for having sexual relations with a 14-year-old girl. And I can tell you that church never recovered, and it eventually just disbanded. And when I took over this particular church, I did not want to see that happen to them. And so I had to preach messages on healing, on forgiveness, sexual wellness, and those various things in order to get them whole and for them to receive their pastor again. And so I was hoping that this project would serve as as somewhat of a guide and a roadmap, because when we look at church, and people who are caught up in various things, the Bible tells us to bear the infirmities of the weak, which to me, that says to me that we're not called to throw anybody away. And so when you look at Luke chapter 15 and the parable of the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son, the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son, all had value to those that were seeking it. And so I believe that leaders, pastors, have value. We as human beings have value to God, and we cannot devalue each other when our humanness comes out. And so that's what I was looking at in terms of that. Now, my colleague, Billy Wallace, gave me some wonderful questions in dealing with the project. And so if you look at the grid that I have, the grid remains the same. However, the questions that Bill seemed to ask will be plugged into it, because I just couldn't plug them in because I'm looking at ways, because he brought more insight, which if you begin to understand what we do in terms of the ethnographer, it's the project is ever evolving. And so all of your comments have been so valuable, and I appreciate the encouragement that went along with it. And so my plan is to go to that congregation, talk to those who were there, and talk to them like, why did you stay? What was said during that time that got you through it? Also to deal with the fact that there were some people who did not stay, who did leave. And so I want to talk to those people. Also, if you notice that in this particular church that I dealt with, they had a hierarchy where they had a bishop, they had a presbytery of bishops, they had elders, and so they had more of a structure. And because the pastor was a part of a structure, the structure helped facilitate his healing, his family's healing, and them getting back into the church. The other pastor that I dealt with never submitted to any type of structure. And so because he did not do that, and this is my hypothesis, that because he did not do that, the church did not survive it, the scandal, neither did he. And so we're really looking at more than just the congregation surviving scandal, but also the how does church government work, whereby the overall denomination help facilitates the healing of a pastor and the healing of the congregation. So as you can see, it's a work in progress and it's still evolving. Listen, I want you to know that I deeply appreciate each and every one of you. There was in times that I was purposely late putting my work in due to the fact that I saw the work that many of you did, and I used you guys as a template. And when I saw what I had done and I saw what many of you had done, I saw that I did the whole thing wrong and had to go back to the drawing board and refix it. And that's what I really appreciate about being with each and every one of you and our professor. You guys are phenomenal theological minds, great men and women of God that I have been allowed to come in contact with. And you let one of the little guys come in and play with the big kids, and I deeply appreciate that. Listen, I speak blessings on each and every one of you, but all of you are blessed because I've been blessed by you. But I speak blessings on each and every one of you. I pray that everything that you touch, God gives you favor, that it turns to gold. I speak blessings upon your life. And I look forward to seeing many of you again in class with Dr. Sophia and her husband in May. God bless you, and may the Lord keep you and bless you real good. Thank you.